Hello and welcome to The Truth in My Opinion, the podcast where I ask a guest to bring me the 3 news stories they think should be on all of our lips. And this week is admittedly a hard week to laugh at the news, but they do say that laughter is the best anti-ballistic missile. I mean medicine. Laughter is the best medicine. And to help prove that point, I'm joined by stand-up comedian Rina Lina.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rhea.
Good morning. I didn't bring my missiles with me.
Thank
Is that
God.
okay?
It's if anything, a relief. There are too many missiles at the moment.
I've been struggling to really sort of aim them in the right direction.
Well,
they've kind of been flying all over the place.
You and the rest of the Middle East.
Right.
I mean, Rhea, you're a fellow topical comedian. Help me. How do we talk about this? Maybe the answer is we don't talk about the Middle East in any way. What do we do?
You want to avoid the beginnings of World War III? You just want to ignore that it's happening. I mean, to be fair, it's not a war because Congress never said.
Exactly.
Remember that it's not technically a war.
It's not officially a war. But, you know, how do we...
It's a skirmish? Is it a skirmish?
We just want to laugh. We just want to laugh about the news. The news used to be funny. What are we doing?
Here, how's this for... I mean, is it laugh out loud? It's definitely ironic. Do you know who gave Iran their initial enriched... Cut this bit
uranium?
out. Yeah, thank you.
I don't, just a thing that's going to come out of your mouth. You don't even know what uranium is.
I think it was around 1953 who gave Iran their first bit of enriched uranium to play with in the first place.
I mean, I could guess. Is it the Americans?
It is the Americans.
God damn it. You see, already we're too deep in the politics. This is freaking everyone out. We're talking uranium. We're talking atomic bombs.
Okay.
Let's just ignore the world and let's talk about you.
Should we create our own little pocket of non-flyable airspace and we'll just inhabit that?
That's maybe what this podcast recording is. All future news podcasts are just going to be like a no-fly zone.
That's it.
But Rhea, you are you're basically my first comedy friend.
Aww.
We've talked about this before. When I was working at the BBC... I mean, I'm not trying to say any other comedians like ignored me or anything, but you were one of the first comedians to make friends with me.
I did because you were good.
Bless you.
Do you know what I mean? Like
that's why
do you know
I've
what
asked
it
you
was?
this question.
I think it was because I was able to attend the news quiz writers' room.
You did.
Do you remember? Because I said I'd love to come along and just see how it works, and that's where we met. We were in the offices of BBC Studios.
Yeah.
And that's where I went, oh, these are the people behind the curtain.
That's right. That's a very charitable retelling on your part, because I remember you coming and being like, I go on the panel in a few hours and I don't have any jokes. Do you guys have any jokes?
Is that what I said? Yeah, that sounds like me.
Remember
sounds like me.
That's closer to what you said.
It might have been either a last minute booking where they went, can you come on the panel in a couple of hours? Or I had something else on the day before. But they said... Because normally we never meet. As a panelist, we never meet the writer's room.
It's very true. As part of becoming friends, we realised very recently that we also went to the same university.
Oh my God, did we?
Yes, we did.
Oh my God, that's right. Because you put it in a video and I was like,
yeah, we've known each other for years now. And only last time I met you,
I went to 3 unis, so excuse me for pausing as I went, which one did we go together?
Humble brag. Sorry, I've been to 3 universities.
I did say I finished them all. I mean, I did, but I'm not saying I finished them all.
Well, we went to St Andrews.
We did go to St Andrews. I just went back there on tour a couple weeks ago.
Was it nice?
Do you know what? I was doing the show. And in the middle of the show, this old guy suddenly yells out at me, "You didn't listen to me." And I went, "Excuse me?" And he went, "I told you to go either into the prison service or to Ashkaban, and you didn't listen to me." And he was like a 90-year-old guy. And I was there going, "I'm sorry, who are you?" And he went, "I was your advisor."
No.
And I went, I had an advisor? I had an advisor? And his name is Jack Daniel. Do you remember Jack Daniel, the advisor?
Jack, what, the drink, the whiskey?
Well,
Jack
apparently that's how everyone remembers him because his name is Jack Daniel, like the drink, but he apparently he's so old, he pre-originated the drink.
Oh my God.
And he was just yelling at me in the middle of my show and I went, I think I'm all right. Thank you, but I think I'm okay. Not
look who's on
in the
stage, loser.
Yeah. Thanks for your ticket.
Well, for anyone who doesn't know, St Andrews University is only really known to people who have been to St Andrews University. It's quite a small university.
And everyone who goes to Oxbridge, because apparently we're the failures, even though St Andrews predates Oxbridge. Just saying.
You are doing us no favours, because
fine.
this is exactly what happens at St Andrews. Everyone's like, actually, we're older and we're probably better. And actually, if you look at the recent league tables, we're actually doing better than Oxford and Cambridge.
It's so true.
It's true. But,
it's true. We are.
Listen, we don't want to wear that on our sleeves too heavily, I don't think.
We don't have to.
We're the underdogs. We're comedians.
We're not underdogs. We're third and they were fourth and fifth.
Anyway. But But it means meeting another person in the wild who went to St Andrews is quite a rare thing because if you don't work in finance or marketing, it is quite unusual.
Or are royal.
Or are literally
if you're not in line
family,
for the throne.
it's unlikely you will have gone to St Andrews.
Exactly.
But I was looking at your Wikipedia. You studied pathology at St Andrews. And then you went on to study forensic science.
Yes.
And then virology.
No.
You're sciencey.
I am very sciencey. I went pathology, virology, forensics.
Okay.
Actually. And the forensics was me returning to my childhood passion.
Yeah, well, this is it. Because I also wanted to be a forensic scientist when I was younger. Because I watched like CSI and stuff like that. And I was like, that looks like a cool job. And then I kind of got to like 17. And I was like, actually, it's sort of mental. You're just sort of, because if you work in a morgue, you're like, they're dead. Like telling people you want to go and see the murdered people.
I wanted to be a forensic pathologist. So my mother introduced me to this series that she had read I guess when I was a kid, and she had them on her shelf called the Skate Carpetta series, and it was about a forensic pathologist. So when I was a teenager, I was reading all of these. Then my biology teacher was also giving me books on viral pandemics. And just as a very young, undiagnosed and yet impressionable autistic, I went, this will be my life. And so I went in that's the direction I went. Pathology seemed like the halfway ground between forensics and viruses.
Oh my God.
And then I focused on virology, and then I refocused on forensics, and just kind of...
Christ.
Yeah.
So did you
got the full set?
What a strange child you must have been.
I was so weird.
So did you see like...
No, I did not have friends, but thank you for asking.
Which is why you went to St Andrews. So you, as part of your pathology thing, you had to see lots of dead bodies, I guess. You've never practiced.
Pathology, it turns out, I say pathology because it sounds fancy. It was microbiology.
Right.
It was actually more like the pathology of pathology is just when things go wrong. So you could study the pathology of plants. You could study plant diseases, but the pathology is just disease or things not being right. And if you go into pathology in a hospital, and this is where the glamour comes in, you're the person that tests all the blood samples and the urine samples and the poo samples.
Lovely.
For bugs and other things. That's the pathology department.
So,
I was studying more like experimental pathology, which is shall we look into disease? Shall we research disease? Shall we research things further? So when I did my PhD, that was a continuation of that, going, let's explore more about viruses and what can we learn about them.
Interesting. So if pathology is things going wrong, does that mean in forensic pathology, the thing that's gone wrong is the person has been murdered?
Well, forensic pathology is the name we give to the person. A forensic pathologist is the one who does the autopsy.
Oh, they're the forensic-y.
Yeah.
Right, I see.
So they kind of try and figure out. It's funny because pathology is just, the pathology of it is just what's wrong with it.
Interesting. I didn't know that. But you have used your sciencey knowledge in your comedy. Some of your comedy is quite sciencey. So you have a Radio 4 series.
Yeah, I do.
Which is all about you using your sciencey knowledge to kind of expose the beauty and well-being industry.
It was indeed. So it was called Rina Lina Gets Forensic. The idea being that it would get recommissioned and every season we would look at something different. But it didn't. Anyway, we're not better. It was great. It was a great series. I'm amazed that it got commissioned because I essentially pitched, how about I go and get a different treatment every week at a different, really expensive, nice spa, and then I'll tell you whether it works or not. And she went, yes. And I went, really? And she went, yes. So I had.
What were the treatments?
I had a facial. I did something called EMS, electric muscle stimulation, which is like an exercise. You put on a suit and it not electrocutes you, you'd be dead, but it electrifies you. It shocks you. It shocks your muscles, and then you work while you're being shocked, and it's supposed to enhance the effects of lifting weights or whatever you're doing. Kind of like a TENS machine. It just kind of, those machines that they go, sit on the sofa, get abs. So it's kind of like that, but you actually work out while you're doing it.
So it's meant to fast track your muscle growth.
Yeah, muscle toning, I'd say more than growth. So it tones you up.
This sounds fascinating. So Rhea, before we get into your headlines, the question I ask, I think I know the answer, but the question I ask every guest is, are you a newsy person?
Yes.
You love the news.
You know what? A bit obsessed by it. Could not be my neurodiversity where you just go constant new stimulation, new. Could be that, but yeah. I'm massively into the news. I tell you what, I know nothing about the noughties because I was not into the news in the noughties, but I am now. I'm just saying, like my opinions of prime ministers, and then I think I did, because I do my own paper jam on a Sunday morning, and I saw one. I have someone who clips it up, and they sent one out there where I actually went, Gordon Brown, he didn't really do anything at the time, but now he's really into this. And I was watching that going, I think he did do stuff at the time, Rhea.
He was prime minister.
Think you weren't. No, he was, but he didn't. In my memory, he wasn't like particularly.
Yes.
He didn't.
Yes.
It's not like the way that Cameron Brexited us.
Yeah, no, I get
Gordon
that.
Brown, I felt like, was a bit non-consequential at the end of the Blair years.
Completely.
But in fact, he was technically the guy who was prime minister when we had our massive 2008 crash, having just been chancellor. So one could argue he should have seen it coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could argue that. But I know exactly what you mean, because I feel like I, in a similar way, I think over the last few years have really got plugged into the news. But I'm kind of, David Cameron is sort of a bit like that to me, where I'm like, oh, David Cameron, a bit of a twat, but I couldn't say what he did. But obviously he sort of ruined everything. But it's just I wasn't into the news then, so it doesn't really stick in my mind.
And actually, given what's happened in the last 5 years, I even look back on Cameron or Theresa May going, oh, they weren't so bad. I mean, they were bad at the time, but now they weren't so bad. I'm like, they were, though.
I think this
May
is
was
partly
bad.
why everything is so, like, in terms of our public discourse. Like, everyone hates Starmer. I'm like, well, I think that might be, sometimes justifiably, but I'm like, actually, everyone now is plugged into the news in some way. It might not be accurate news, but they might be like, you just scroll through Instagram because we're all addicted to social media. We're actually all getting information that we're judging people on, that otherwise, in another era, we would have just got on with our lives.
And not known about it. I think this is also part of the problem. Like, are we going to actually end up in World War III because we know too much, which is ironic given that we ended up in World War II not knowing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, we didn't know as much.
Although Donald Trump has started all of this, and surely he doesn't know too much.
Well, this is what irritates me, is that we know what we know and we're still letting it happen.
Yeah.
We watched what happened with Ukraine, and then still let it happen, or we watch what's happening and going, this ended badly last time.
Yes, I know.
Let's see how it ends this time.
Well, now I think we're just in avoidant mode now, aren't we? We're just, anyway.
But that's what they want us to be. I mean, that's part of the problem. We were talking about this right before we started recording. We're returning to a serfdom, but this time of technology. We are all becoming serfs to technology. We think that we are not slaves anymore, that we are not tied to the land as we were the first time that the serf system came around. But actually we are. We are tied to having to pay for every single thing that we use in our lives. And that's a serfdom to technology.
It's a techno-feudalism, as Yanis Varoufakis would say.
Love that. Techno-feudalism.
Techno-feudalism, yeah.
It has a good beat, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been up all night listening to techno-feudalism.
Because your master told you to.
Yeah, because Zuckerberg told me to.
Dance! Now post.
Well, Rhea, we're now going to enter your news hour. I'm
Okay.
going to hand over the reins of the news to you. You have brought us 3 news stories that you think everyone should be talking about.
I had to dive to the bottom of the ball pit for these. Can I just say?
You were given an absolute hospital pass this week, which was, Rhea, can you find anything that isn't about World War III? And I think you did a fantastic job.
Thank you so much.
You did an absolutely fantastic job.
Thank you so much.
Rhea, if you could please deliver your first headline.
UK supermarket chain Iceland drops trademark dispute with the nation of Iceland.
Okay. What is this? What's happening here?
So Iceland, the supermarket, decided to trademark the name Iceland across all of the EU. And the country of Iceland kind of went, excuse me? But yeah, we kind of need to just because, we just kind of need to use the name, which is ours, always has been, to sell our own foods and sausages and stuff and frozen goods. We also do frozen. Yep, we also do frozen across the EU.
They famously do frozen. I mean, it's freezing up there.
I mean, except in the warm baths.
But except in the temperate
so decades long, the supermarket has been has kind of been in a trademark war with the country of Iceland.
Yeah, this is crazy. So I think anyone who doesn't know, Iceland is like a kind of, I want to say like a budget supermarket, but it's more as like a frozen food supermarket.
It's literally just freezers, isn't it? You go in, everything's freezers.
Everything's freezers. Everything is like £6 or £3 or like £9 for 3. It's all, so it feels
it's
very,
all in multiples of 3.
Yeah, it really is quite weird. And like a lot of the stuff they sell in there is like TGI Fridays, chicken wings, and you're like, I don't see this being sold anywhere else. But
except
Iceland,
TGI Fridays.
Except TGI Fridays. Yeah, there's like sort of weird brands. There'd be like Nando's chicken breasts. You're like, no one sells this apart from, it seems, Iceland. But yeah, their name is Iceland, and they tried previously to come to a settlement with Iceland.
With the country of Iceland.
Country of Iceland. Because as you said, Rhea, they very reasonably were like, actually, you having a complete monopoly on the word of the name of our country is kind of unhelpful for us. And they didn't come to a settlement, so Iceland had to then sue Iceland. And this is back in 2016. So this is like a 10-year-long battle. And
for a long time.
The first one was inconclusive, the second one was inconclusive, and this is the third one now. And Iceland have agreed to drop it.
The supermarket have agreed to drop it.
I can see why it's getting confusing. Sorry. The
supermarket have lost, rightly.
This is why it's a problem. The supermarket
have lost.
Rhea, have they lost or have they dropped it? So the guy who owns Iceland was like, okay, do you know what? This next lawsuit is going to cost us so much money. We're just not going to do it. And we're instead...
So they're not going to go to the highest court of appeal in the EU. Instead, though, quite nicely, they're going to spend the money on giving the people of Iceland discounts at the supermarket of Iceland.
Yes. The one Iceland store they have in Iceland, which is in Reykjavik.
Right.
They have one store.
But it's a huge amount of money. It's something like 400,000.
Yeah.
I don't know which currency, but that's a lot in any currency. 400,000, and they get to have a discount at their own supermarket, which I thought was, to me, I think that's quite generous.
So this discount is called a rapprochement discount.
Rapprochement. I mean, that's French. Now the French are involved. I don't know what's going to happen now.
This is the real World War III. It's over frozen foods in Iceland.
I should know this. Is Iceland one of the 27? Because the Scandies, I get confused with the Scandies, because some are not.
Iceland is not in the EU.
That would explain why the first two were inconclusive. Because if Iceland was in the 27, it would have been a no-brainer. Because one would think that they shouldn't have had two inconclusive court cases.
Yeah, it's quite unhelpful, quite unusual for court cases. There's normally a winner or a loser.
Well, this is why I looked it up. Well, especially when you go... Should the country that's existed for centuries have the right to their own name, or should the supermarket that started up in the last century have the right to that? I mean, certainly the country that pre-existed electricity should have some kind of priority over the supermarket that couldn't exist until there was electricity.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mad story because it's quite literally like a company. And normally when, we see stories about companies going head to head with nations, it's like your Metas, your Teslas, your Nvidias, these enormous tech companies. This is quite literally a guy who I think opened a frozen food shop in Wales and was quite successful and now has many of these frozen food stores, who is now going head to head with the country of Iceland.
Do you think, that's the other thing, is that at some point someone said, let's call it Iceland. Was no one in that boardroom going, do you think that would get confusing with the country? Nobody at any point went, just wondering if we should call it Snowland or maybe...
Yeah, but the thing is, it's so...
Ice Market.
I've never, until I saw this story, I actually always thought Iceland was a kind of reference to the country, but it's obviously not. It's just because it's all freezers. So they're like, everything is frozen, so everything is covered in ice. This is the land of ice. This is Iceland.
But again, I still don't think that's a good marketing measure, because when something's covered in ice in your freezer, it's been there too long. And it's a bit dodgy if you eat it. You know what I mean?
When it's under like 6 inches of snow.
Exactly.
Yeah,
when
you maybe
even
don't
your
want to
own
eat
freezer is like, this is part of me now, then you go, maybe I shouldn't eat this.
But the thing is, I think Iceland, the shop, and Iceland, the country, have more in common than they think, because their names both evoke that that snow, the magic of the cold.
Again, I don't think you have to be too topically minded. Iceland, the country, also evokes, I think of volcanoes. I think of nationalizing the banks, wishing that we had too.
Okay, I think that's more specific to you.
I'm thinking, is it Greenland? No, it isn't, because it isn't.
Of course, Iceland has been through the ringer recently because,
really
Donald Trump confusing Iceland with Greenland. Now they've got this. But I actually think overall, this is probably a good story for the nation of Iceland, because it seems like the supermarket dropping this claim, that means that Iceland is now, companies who are from Iceland are now allowed to go out into the EU and say that we are Icelandic. Because that was the other implication. It wasn't just that this court case was saying that you can't say you're Iceland. They couldn't even use the word Icelandic. They couldn't be like, this is an Icelandic product, because Iceland had the monopoly on that word.
I know.
Like, it's kind of mental.
And it maddens me every time, because this isn't the first case that we've seen where companies come in. McDonald's is famous for coming in and going, you can't use muck. You can't use muck.
Really?
But, and if
the whole of Scotland have been fucked ever since they said that.
Well, all of Scotland is angry about it, but you'll see it in so in 2001, the fast food giant sued a small Malaysian restaurant called McCurry. Literally Mc and then the word curry, claiming they had a monopoly on the MC prefix. And the restaurant argued that McCurry stands for Malaysian chicken curry, McCurry. And after 8 years, Malaysia's highest court ruled in favor of the restaurant. Yay!
Oh, that's good.
That
After
McDonald
8 years.
did not own the exclusive right to those two letters. And Scotland, the Donald clan have had to come in and do things in order to protect their own name against companies like McDonald's coming in going, excuse me, we own this. You go, no, you got it off of it's a Scottish name. But Lord MacDonald, High Chief, publicly challenged the MC monopoly during the McMunchies trials, which was against a woman who called her little cafe McMunchies. Unfortunately, she couldn't afford to keep going with that court case, so she ended up ceding and renaming hers the Munchies.
That's
instead.
insane.
But it really angered them. So the clan Donald heritage have documented that MC and MAC are linguistically identical in order to protect people against. So if you are Mac Donald MAC or McDonald MC, they're going, nope, they are the same. So that McDonald's can't claim, well, we came up with MC.
So McDonald's are claiming that they came up with muck before the entire nation of Scotland.
Yes. So therefore the clan Donald heritage had to go, no, MC is it's like the difference between Mr. MISTER and MR. It's just an abbreviation.
Yes.
So they both count.
That's mental.
It happens all the time.
But what about, because it's so weird that they're small, like you say, what's a small cafe in Scotland? Why is McDonald's bothering with that? But that's the sort of size of these companies. They won't accept anyone who, it's mental. But what about KFC? Because if you walk around London, there's loads of KFCs.
There's
but
loads
they're not
of FCs.
KFC.
There's loads of FCs, aren't there?
Yeah, there's LFC,
AFC,
lots of
OFC.
Yeah.
What's that? Oregon fried chicken?
Yeah,
I mean, it could be
all
anything.
of that kind of stuff. So maybe KFC.
Oman fried chicken. It could be anything. But yeah, there's loads of FCs for fried chicken. But I think to my impression, KFC just has the confidence to know that you do what you do. We're still the Mecca.
They actually made those adverts, didn't they? Where there was the Colonel driving around looking at all of the knockoffs, and he was like, "Yeah, but we're the original." That's kind of. I mean, I don't want to defend KFC. Actually, last week's episode we were laying into them because they pulled out the chicken welfare thing. But that is what you expect from a big company that is so world famous. You're like, don't have a go at this Scottish lady. Just have confidence in your Big Mac. So this is quite a good story. Iceland have fair enough to them.
Story.
They've just said, Iceland, you can use your name.
A lot of the story, I was looking up all of these kinds of stories, and a lot of them, the little guy just can't afford to fight the fight. Yeah. And sometimes the little guy is in the right. Like the man whose name is Ronald McDonald going, I'm a teacher, and you're associating me with a clown, and I'd quite like to be able to use my own name with confidence. It did not end up with Ronald McDonald.
If your name's Ronald McDonald, you shouldn't be a teacher. That's all I'm going to say. But this actually, this is weirdly the little guy going against the big guy. Iceland supermarket going against Iceland. And so in a way, the big guy has still sort of won. Great headline.
Pleasure.
If you could now deliver your second headline.
Regulator investigates £8 billion private dentistry industry.
Okay. Now we're getting to the meaty stuff.
This is meaty.
The dentist industry.
Unless you don't have teeth, in which case.
Yeah, it's bad news for you if you've got no teeth. But
or actually, is it though? Then you don't need a dentist.
yeah, it's also all good points. But this is anyone in the UK will know how difficult it is to get a dentist. To the point where I think most people, like me, I just don't go to the dentist. But tell me about what this. I don't.
I mean, I'll be honest. That feels very British, doesn't
the
it?
The Brits are famous for their bad teeth. But tell me what is this
you
story
have very
exactly?
Good teeth, though.
I know I'm quite
Smile
lucky.
for the camera. They're good. They're good. I mean, did you have braces?
No.
Wow, they came in like that. Mine too.
I'm quite fortunate. Yeah, you've got very straight teeth.
Yeah,
as well.
they came
very
in
straight teeth.
And they came in like this, but
No braces.
No, but I do have 2 teeth that never grew.
That's why they're so straight.
So the rest had room. They just never. I just had 2 teeth that just never came.
Interesting. Well,
So
talk to me about this.
Okay, well, as
this
we all
headline.
know, NH dentists are rare to find, which means that we've seen a proliferation of people just going to private dentists.
Yeah.
And what they've suddenly realized all of a sudden is that it's a completely unregulated industry. So whereas the fee to just be seen for a checkup was around 50 quid, I think it's gone up to 85 quid in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And nobody's controlling that, and I think the government has just suddenly realized that maybe a little bit like vets, because this was a story a couple of weeks ago that the vet industry is also unregulated.
Yeah.
So they can charge you anything they want for your dog's medicine or a checkup or anything else. That maybe we need to start look at regulation, which I welcome, I think, because we're obviously not going to get more NHS dentists overnight, but at least to control all of our dental care in some regard would be a great thing.
Yeah, so basically the Chancellor Rachel Reeves has been like, hang on, she's commissioned the competitions watchdog to have a look into the dental industry to see if they're ripping everyone off.
Yes.
And the dental industry has predictably gone fucking mental. They've gone mental. They're saying that basically the private dentists are picking up the slack of the NHS because it's impossible to get an NHS dentist, which is kind of
you
true.
name me one NHS dentist who also doesn't have a private practice on
Well,
the side.
there's also
though.
this. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I imagine a lot of these dentists that work at these private companies are probably also NHS dentists.
Can I just say to my own NHS dentist, thank you so much. I love you. Please never leave. I love you. I love you. Please,
so
thank you.
Actually, on the way here, I was like, I went to say hello to Ria, and you were like, sorry, I'm on the phone to my dentist.
But because I was reading the story going, I should really get in touch with my dentist and make sure that they're still my dentist. Because now it used to be every 6 months. You used to get a checkup every 6 months. They'd send you a text. They'd send you a letter, whatever it was, you would go. Now it's once a year. I can't remember when that time was because, of course, they'll text you in like April. You'll go, oh, yes, I must call the dentist. You call them in May. Your appointment's in July. And so every year it gets later and later. I never remember if I'm due or not. So I called them and just went, hi, how are you? I know, long time. Anyway, I was just wondering if you have 10, 15 minutes to see me in the next month. So I just called them up because I know that you'll get dropped off if you don't call them. And we just got luck. You know, I've been living in the same place since I came to London for uni. So almost 20 years. I've had the same dentist, and we haven't always had a dentist. That's the other thing. It's an NHS dental practice that sometimes doesn't have a dentist. So there have been times where I've had to use a private dentist while I wait for them to find another NHS dentist.
Well, this is one of the stats in this article was that 69% of people go to private dentists.
Yes.
And I think this is what the dentists were saying. They were like, well, imagine if like we didn't exist, like the whole NHS thing would like collapse. But the Chancellor now, like you said earlier, they've sort of identified that these prices are going up quite speedily.
And I think more worrying, and this is what I noticed. So I have an NHS dentist. One of them died, and then they had to find a replacement.
Oh God, was it a dental-related injury?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think it was a heart attack, which I would put down to the stress of being an NHS dentist. So, but while we were waiting, we had to go and see a private dentist. And what was really interesting is that you go see the private dentist, you pay for the checkup, they will always identify work. And they would go, oh yeah, there's a little spot on here. Maybe we should just turn that into a filling just to be safe. Anyway, so we had, and we would sit there and go, well, I'm not feeling any pain, or can we afford that right now? Or, and I've got 3 kids. And so if they're identifying problems in all 3 kids, and then they're going, well, do you want to get them braces? Do you want to do this? Do you want to that? And it racks up into the thousands by the time they go, this is all the stuff we recommend. And they present themselves. So we have this idea that private is better, but actually then suddenly an NHS dentist popped up at my clinic. We took all the kids to the NHS dentist and we said, here are all the things that the private dentist identified. And she wiped thousands off of that bill by going, well, keep an eye on that. That doesn't need any attention. That doesn't need this. So it's the attitude that I think is really of worry. It's not just do you have access to dental care, but do you have access to someone you can trust to actually treat you in your best interest versus try and get as much money out of you as possible.
Well, do you know, it's interesting you brought up the vet and how the vet industry is having the same thing. I took my cat to the vet the other week. I thought, me and my girlfriend took the cat and we were like, okay, the only thing that's wrong with her is that she's incredibly fat. She's an incredibly fat cat. We went in there.
Is she a house cat or an outdoor cat?
She goes outdoors, but she's kind of a bit fat, so she's a bit lazy.
She sits inside, she sits outside.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
And we went to the vet. We're like, she's going to just tell us she's a bit fat. She's got a hernia, apparently. Got a hernia. She hasn't had the right vaccinations. Oh my God, she hasn't had feline leukemia. We need to give her feline leukemia right now. Where the hell did you get this cat from? We need to keep an eye on this. Might need to have an operation in the future. And we were like, she's just a fat cat. Ultimately, she's just a fat cat. We can keep an eye on this. And she also was like, okay, she's an incredibly fat cat.
She is an incredibly fat cat.
But basically,
if she wasn't as fat, she probably would have gotten feline leukemia just wandering around a little bit more.
Exactly.
So I think that one you can rest assured. Just lump her in different parts of the garden. She'll pick up feline leukemia.
I do think we had a very nervous vet who just identified problems anyway. But I recognise that kind of attitude where. But I wonder, there's always that, because that's what I'm always quite suspicious of when I'm like, if you take a car to the garage, you're like, well, this is going to come out with about 50 other problems because they want to do the work. So I can kind of see that with the dentist. But to go back to the story.
Yes.
The reason, like I say, the dentists are saying, well, this is crazy because we provide a service. But, and this is what the headline of the story is, it turns out, because when I first heard it, I was like, oh, well, dentists are expensive. Like, no one thinks dentists are cheap. And then I was like, but surely if your dentist is charging like £80, you can go and find another dentist that's charging £50 so they don't all put their prices up together. Wrong, Ria.
Really?
Wrong.
Really?
Because they're all putting their prices up because they're owned by private equity firms. There's a private equity firm called Bridgepoint, which is on the FTSE 250. So it's a fucking huge company that bought out a company called My Dentist, which is the UK's largest dentistry chain. It has 500 surgeries. There's another private equity firm called Portman Dentex, which is the second largest chain, has more than 300 dentists. Okay. So actually, what's happening, beneath our very eyes, these private equity firms have come in, bought up a huge chunk of all of the dentist practices in the UK, and are now unilaterally putting up their prices, so we now no longer have a choice.
Well, all the more reason. Well, I think that's also why the regulators are coming in, because of course it's creating a monopoly.
Exactly. That's exactly why the regulators are coming in, because they're like, well, in any other industry, if we see companies like kind of working together to just raise the prices for everyone, that's illegal. That's when the regulator has to step in, which is exactly what the Chancellor Rachel Reeves has said. She's like, this all looks a bit fishy. Can we step in? And the dentists are going crazy. But absolutely, we should step in. This is crazy.
Can we just pause and have a moment for Rachel Reeves? Because I'm going to be honest, I don't often agree with how she handles things. Okay. But I'm okay with this. And I'd like to just take a moment to say, Rachel, well done. I want you to just remember this moment. I want you to remember this decision-making process. And I want you to just try and replicate that more frequently. Because I feel like when it comes to things like student loans, you are not getting what the issue is. And you are not understanding. Like, the way that you see the poorest of students is the biggest cash cows seems really quite upside down.
Yeah.
And just in terms of what you're doing here, yay, well done. Like, girl,
more of this, please.
Sticker for you.
More of this, because actually, in a way, this is a sort of extension of your first headline, because what it is it's businesses kind of operating entirely unreasonably, and then when they're challenged, they're like, but we're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Like, this is just what we do.
But they aren't until the regulators come in and put regulation in place to say you can't do this. But but this is also, Eva, this is also part of the privatization of NHS. This is how the NHS is being privatized. And they go, no, it's not being privatized. The NHS is still working. You go, well, it isn't, because what you've done is you've killed the NHS dentistry provision such that private industry is able to come in and fill that gap and then use it as some kind of halo to hold it against us.
Yeah, exactly.
And why? Because because teeth were never valued. Dare I say that? Teeth have not been valued on this island as much as they should have been valued. And if we'd valued them from the beginning, maybe this wouldn't have happened.
Well, Ria, thank you so much for that second headline.
Absolute pleasure.
You're now going to deliver, or I'd like you to deliver at least, your third and final headline of your news hour.
Queen Elizabeth II's favorite dog could be banned.
Wow.
I did it in a different voice.
I like that. People sometimes do that. People sometimes do different
Could
voices.
be banned.
So tell me, this is a great news story.
This one's crazy, but it's so meaningful here in the UK, where we genuinely love animals more than children. And if you want proof of that, go back to the 1800s, where we passed legislation to protect animals before we passed legislation to protect children. We did indeed. So essentially, I can't remember who, because it's like 10 o'clock in the morning and who gets up at this hour. But you've got all the facts. You've got it there in front of you.
I have some of the facts.
The so-and-so, the regulators of the dog board, is that a thing?
It's weirdly the House of Lords. So the House of Lords have been like, okay, we're bringing in these new breeding guidelines for dogs.
Yes. So they're bringing in breeding guidelines for dogs, which basically are saying you cannot breed in favor of certain characteristics that actually mean that the dogs are essentially in pain. So if their legs are too short, if they're too low to the ground, if they don't have enough clearance, so if their legs are too short and their bodies are too fat, then they could be have joint pain for their entire lives. If their eyes are bulging, if their faces are too flat.
Yeah.
So they're saying. That means, though, that a lot of breeds, including Corgis, might now become illegal.
Yes.
So it's not just the ones that bite and kill, but
Exactly.
it's the ones that are so cute. They're so cute, and they fit in a handbag. No.
The Queen, obviously famous for her Corgis. The characteristic that they brought in is called ground clearance.
Ground clearance.
So they're testing dogs for ground clearance, and by which they mean they have short legs. So it's the distance between their chest and the floor, and if it's past a certain limit, they're like, this is cruel.
Yeah, if it's too short. But ground clearance was really important, because when we used these dogs for herding cows, apparently Corgis and Scotties were used for herding cows. It was so that the cows, when they kicked, wouldn't actually hit the dogs. I was like,
so it wouldn't kick them in the head.
It wouldn't kick them in the head.
I know.
But it makes them like little footballs. They kick them in the stomach and they just go flying. It's just like,
yes. But I guess they don't have the sort of the swing, the upswing if it misses its head, if it's small.
So the idea was that you want but I've never ever seen it. Like, please do send into the podcast if you have any videos of dogs like Dachshunds, Corgis, Scotty dogs herding cows. I would really like to see that.
They're not famous for the cow. You're right. I've not seen them, but it's exactly those three breeds you named, Scotty dogs as well, and it will come as no surprise, Shih Tzus. The government have looked at Shih Tzus and they've gone, that's not fucking right. Surely not. We can't be having that.
No.
But people are now, dog breeders in particular, are kind of up in arms, because they're saying, well, these new rules are only based on like the visible. So they're like that you're kind of saying, because that dog looks like it's in pain because it's so short and its nose is fucked up, doesn't necessarily, so say the breeders, mean it's in pain. So
there needs to be more work done.
So this is what the breeders are saying. They're like, okay, you need to get a bit sciencey. You can't just be like short little stubby legs. We're gonna breed those out of existence.
Corgis sometimes have to spend time with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. They must be in pain.
So this was my first thought when you said this story, because it was like, so Queen's dogs, like they're going to be destroyed. I was like, how much do they know?
Yeah.
How much do those dogs know? They're getting rid of Corgis now. How much has Andrew
what
said
did they see?
To the Corgis?
What can they not forget?
But this is it. The Queen's two Corgis have gone to Prince Andrew, former Prince Andrew. So I feel sorry for them. I think this breeding guidelines is the least of their worries.
MDMW.
What's that?
Andy MW.
MDMW.
No, AMW. Andy MW.
AMW.
No, Andy MW.
Right. Okay. Mountbatten Windsor.
Where'd you get the D from?
I don't know.
No.
It's your accent that I was picking up on.
Well,
that's where I got the D.
You know what? I was putting a bit of a southern twang on it just to really piss him off,
thought.
because I know it would piss him off. He's like, my name is Andrew Mountbatten - Windsor. And I'm like, whatever, Andy.
Whatever you dick.
MW.
But the reason this story is very sort of topical is because Crufts is this week on Thursday. If you're listening to this when this podcast comes out, Crufts has started. It was the Thursday before. But these doggy people, in the face of these new guidelines, have said, well, if you're going to start banning these kinds of dogs, well, guess what, Buster? 4 of the last 10 winners of the Crufts dog competition
have been illegal.
Have technically then don't meet these guidelines, and so are kind of they shouldn't exist.
And let's be honest, that's impressive because you have to jump over those little, sticks and stuff. And if you don't have ground clearance, that's mighty impressive.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine winning the jumping with no ground clearance.
With no ground clearance.
But it's
incredible.
One of my favorite, because no shade to any dog people listening. Like I grew up with dogs. I like dogs, but the dog people are starting to sound insane because there was one quote from a woman who said, this is a quote from her. She was like, "It's going to be the most shocking thing to happen to dog lovers in this country. People will rightly be outraged at being told they can't have dogs they want. It's madness. I think the late Queen would have been very upset by this proposal."
I think she would have. I definitely think she would have. But you know what? It's funny because, it's kind of like in the world of women, we're having this war between like the TERFs and the trans community. And It's this awful place to be in between because you just go, can we all agree that we are not the enemy? It's men.
Yes.
Can we all kind of come together? And I feel like the same things happen in the dog world because you've got all the dog owners who have like the big killer ones and the XL bullies and everything else.
Yes.
And they've been told for years, your dogs are not okay.
Yeah.
And now the cute fluffy ones are being told your dogs are not okay, and I'm like, oh, do we have a coming together against the cat community finally? Have you finally understood who the real evils are?
Yes.
It's the big fat cats with hernias.
It's true. Maybe dogs. Yes, you're right. I think that's a good analogy.
Thank you.
But
Spent all night on that.
it was well worth it.
I have cats, but only because we're not allowed dogs in our building. I think that my family, if they were allowed a dog, would have had a dog, but we have cats. And
I've got
a
cat that I'm feeding like a dog, apparently, according to the fucking vet.
I have two cats, one who thinks he's a dog. So we can't, how you're supposed to leave food out for a cat and they just graze when they want to.
Yeah,
and
supposedly mine doesn't.
I can't leave mine. I can't leave food out.
Yeah, same
because
here.
but every time you cook anything, they're in there going, "You're cooking chicken. I can tell you're cooking chicken." I'm like, "Yeah, it's in a sauce with garlic. You can't have it." They're like, "It's fine. I'll just suck the garlic off. Give me the chicken." Can I just lick? And they're just like, "Can I lick the inside of the packet? Is there juice? Is there juice in the packet? Can I lick the packet? Can I lick the packet?" Like, my cats are insane.
Yeah, my cat doesn't. She's not bothered about human food. She just fucking loves cat food. She can't get enough of it.
Maybe less.
We've been
less?
there. She plays on our heartstrings. I don't want to get into it. But the Queen had 30. I was a part of this news article. She had 30 corgis.
Yeah, but not all at once, right? She had
over her lifetime. But 30 corgis
corgis
is too much. And I should say,
wait, is it though? I mean, have you seen the size of her house? They're getting a good runaround before they even get to the front door.
Taxpayer corgis. I don't have time for it.
Oh, I see. Well, hang on, but they do have some of their own money, right?
Well, yeah. Who's it from? They will. I mean, they might have savings.
The
I don't know.
duchies and the land and all the other.
Yeah, exactly. It should be ours. But
okay.
I should say to top this headline off that the dog people are going mental, but the Royal Veterinary College, the RSPCA, and the Dogs Trust are saying this is very welcome. But it currently is a guideline, so in classic fashion, it might always not actually be implemented.
No, and I think it is quite right because you do see dogs that. And I've met dog owners with pets where they're constantly needing medical treatment because they can't breathe or they're having problems. And we already know about things like golden retrievers having hip dysplasia. Like we know that different breeds already struggle with different medical issues that are more common according to breeding issues. So to tighten up, breeding regulations to ensure that we're not creating dogs that are in pain, I think isn't wrong.
Yes, it's not wrong.
But it is right that not every dog is in pain.
That's right. I think that is the nuance, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's okay, we all agree we don't want dogs in pain, but maybe let's use something more than our eyes.
Yeah, they said in there, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, they did.
Don't throw the dog out with the ditch water.
Yeah,
I
think that speaks to an inherent nervousness about Shih Tzu owners because you can't have a Shih Tzu without someone looking at it being like, that shouldn't be real.
I think we can all agree Shih Tzus can shit off. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think anyone in the dog community is standing up for the Shih Tzus.
It's like, it's shaking. It looks terrified.
It's just not supposed to be.
Scared of everything.
I know. Just stick it in the handbag and leave it there.
Apologies to anyone who has a Shih Tzu.
No, fuck you. What did you buy the dog for? That's just cruelty. No apologies.
Okay, well, those all views are Ria's, not mine. Ria,
yeah, but McDonald's, you go after him.
Rina Lina, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Do you have anything to plug? You're on tour? Am I right in thinking you're on tour?
If you're in Cardiff or Nottingham, then I'm on tour. But other than that, I just finished that. I am doing Paper Jam every Sunday morning through my Patreon.
Paper Jam.
So keep an eye out for Paper Jam, or just give it a follow on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram if you could, because it's about we've just started working with new people, so we're gonna refresh that. Eventually you're gonna see Cody on it as well.
Fantastic. So. And your social handle is
well, for that one it's at RL Paper Jam, Rina Lina's Paper Jam, RL Paper Jam, and mine's just search Rina Lina and you should come up with me. And if you don't, it's an Indonesian housewife. That's not me.
Ria, thank you so much. This has been a fantastic news hour.
Thank you.
You've been listening to The Truth in My Opinion. This week's guest was Rina Lina, and I've been Cody Darla. And if you'd like to hear more from Ria, then you can head over to the Truth in My Opinion podcast Patreon, where you can listen to her bonus 4th headline, which this week is all about NASA's new discovery of dark matter universes. Ooh la la. See you next week.